We got Hill Harper in the building, man. What's going on?
Hill Harper's in the building. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First and foremost, man, how you feeling today? What's the vibes of the day, if you can? Just
beautiful
elaborate.
Day today. Listen, it's been raining a few days in a row here, but that doesn't take away my energy or my beauty. I woke up this morning really feeling that today was going to be a movement day, a day to make a difference, a day, and I talk about this a lot. We have choices about how we actually approach the world and approach the day and what attitude we bring to it. And I even talk to my son about it every day. Attitude is everything, right? It informs every choice. It informs the energy you approach. And today I just feel great. I feel today, I just literally in my head, I said this morning, today we're going to make a difference.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. And I think for me, man, just looking at the things that you're doing, for those who may not know, you are running, for the Democratic, if I may, just to be right and exact.
Right. So I'm running for the Democratic nomination for Michigan's open United States Senate seat.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And just for point of context, people understand how historic this is. Number one, there's never been a black U.S. senator from the state of Michigan. There hasn't been a black Democrat U.S. Senate candidate on a ballot in decades, multiple decades. And there's only been 12 black U.S. senators in the history of this country. There's been a higher percentage of black U.S. presidents than black U.S. senators.
Wow.
Let that marinate for a second. And out of the 12, only 4 have done it the way that we're trying to do it here, which is win a primary first and then win the general election second. That means win on cycle. 8 out of the 12 either were first appointed or won through special election first. So it just shows you how hard. I'm trying to become only the 5th person in the history of the country, the 257-year history of the Senate, to do this.
Yes, sir.
And I can only do it with the help of everybody listening right now.
Absolutely. And that was the whole idea in mind. There's a lot of young people that don't even understand politics at all.
That's right. Because they stopped teaching politics, civics, social studies in schools, right? They stopped teaching it. And y'all are too young to remember. There used to be on Saturday mornings, there was a cartoon. It was called Schoolhouse Rock. And they got rid of that too. It had a song. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. I'm sitting up on Capitol Hill. They got it on YouTube. So Google Schoolhouse Rock. You'll see. It used to explain what the different branches of government did so people understood what they voting for. I talked to so many people out there. They don't even know what a senator does.
Yeah.
So if you don't even know what it does or how important it is, why should you vote?
Absolutely.
It makes sense. So I don't blame the people. Okay. I blame the system. Folks have been set up systemically to be left out and not vote. Because at the end of the day, what you start to realize is the people in power actually don't want them to vote. Now that's the big fix. Because when there's high voting rates, there's high turnover, meaning the incumbents lose. The establishment loses. When it's low turnout, the people in power stay in power. They don't get replaced. And this is what this is about. So I'm the non-establishment candidate. Now, in other words, I'm trying to buck the system. I'm trying to be a disruptor. So I need a high turnout to win. If it's just the regular people that usually just vote for the establishment candidate, I don't win. Yeah. Right? Low turnout, I lose. High turnout, I win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the key things that, the people may want to know is why choose Michigan? Why choose Detroit?
Right.
If you can, talking to those people, explain your reasoning and the potential that you see in this city and Michigan in general.
Yeah. So it goes way back. So when I went to Harvard, both of my roommates were from here, right? Dr. Charles Boyd, he's a successful plastic surgeon here now. He's got this place called Boyd Beauty, etc. He was my roommate at Harvard. He was at Harvard Medical School. He's from Detroit. And then my other roommate was named Brian Mathis. He married a pretty prominent Detroit family, a young lady by the name of Carla Diggs, from the Diggs family of Detroit. They had Congressman Diggs and Judge Diggs. And so I got to know all these folks from Detroit. And I just thought the people from here were the best people in the world. And then, if you remember, there used to be a tax credit in Michigan for film production and media production that I'm fighting to try to bring back because it created thousands of union jobs. And I came here to shoot projects.
Right.
And it reminded me of how great the people were. And my friend, Dr. Boyd, they were like, man, you should move here, get a house here. And I said to myself, when I raise my son, I want him to turn out like people from here, not necessarily like people from Hollywood, etc. So I'd want him to experience growing up here. So I bought my house here 8 years ago, in Boston Edison. And I bought my business downtown 7 years ago, the coffee shop, called the Roasting Plant Coffee Shop. And my son's 8 years old. So that was the timing.
Yes, sir.
And what I've noticed, and people ask me what's special about Michigan people, Detroiters, Southeast Michigan, etc. And I've sort of broken it down to three things that I think makes it special because I've lived a lot of different places. Mm-hmm. And I've lived places where people had two of these three things, but this is the only place I've ever found that has three of the three. And these are the three. One, a work ethic and a hard work and a grit. Two, like a soul and a creativity and that kind of creative spirit. And three, almost like a old, grandmama kindness, like, come on here, baby, have a lemonade kindness.
Yeah.
Like real kindness. Yeah. Not fake, not trying to be kind for an agenda or anything. And so, for instance, when I lived in Brooklyn, there was people who had grit, hard work ethic, people who had soul, but no one's inviting you in for a lemonade.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then in California, they invite you in for a lavender lemonade and they got creativity, but shoot, there ain't no grit. It rains and they fold up, like a cheap suit. So this place has all three of those things, and I really love the people for it. So I moved here for the people.
Yes, sir.
I certainly didn't move here for the weather. Let's be clear.
No, the weather different.
The weather different. But thing is, it's not even about the cold here. It's about the gray. It can be gray for stretches. Like, eclipse day, we had sun, but we ain't seen the sun since. Man. Right? So, that's the thing. But think about this. Michigan is probably, out of all the states in the country, the best positioned state for climate change and the increasing heat that's happening, right? Yeah. Because you're seeing already our winters here are changing, right? And you're seeing that we have 21% of the world's fresh surface water supply in the Great Lakes. So it's a combination of having water. We have tons of lakes, rivers. It's a lot of water here. And as climate begins to heat up and as our planet heats up, we're really well positioned for that.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you kind of went that route because that's something that I did want to ask you in terms of the Great Lakes. And, for the average person that may be watching, the platform that may not have an understanding of the value of being here.
That's right.
And how the Great Lakes play, a major role. If you could, I think you elaborated a little bit just now, but if you could delve in just a little bit deeper to make it easier for them to understand.
So folks have to understand another one. Environmental justice is one of my platform issues. Now, it typically communities of color, low income communities get hit the worst with environmental harms. Obviously, we saw it happen and continues to happen in Flint. Saw it Benton Harbor, Muskegon, the Kalamazoo River got poisoned. We have to understand that it tends to be communities with the least amount of resources that seem to get the most environmental harm. Yeah. So this idea that, protecting the environment actually helps our community. Yeah. Right? It has to be we should be talking about environmental justice because we get hit the worst. And number two, since 21% of the world's fresh surface water supply touches Michigan shores, it creates this amazing opportunity for us to be leaders in water resource, which is literally liquid gold.
Right.
Fresh water is the most valuable resource in the world, period. And Michigan is positioned so well with that. And so that's why for the long game and the long term, certainly I think that investing here and being here, I launched a program called Choose Michigan because I want more people to choose Michigan like I chose Michigan.
Yeah.
And this is what's critical because we need more people moving into the state, supporting it, creating businesses, creating jobs, etc. But we also need more of our talent to stay. So if you think about it, a lot of the best talent in Michigan leaves.
Yeah.
They go to New York, Philly, Miami, Austin, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago. They leave. Mm-hmm. We want to keep talent here.
Absolutely.
I mean, Kash Doll went to Atlanta.
Absolutely.
No, but we need to keep the talent at home. And we do that by creating an infrastructure that shows the long-term benefit of staying. That's why I want to bring the tax credits back for media and film production,
mm-hmm.
right? Because if we can build studios here, again, long-term jobs, union jobs, multiple opportunities to create, and then you end up doing things around AI and other types of tech-based things where you don't feel like I got to go to Silicon Valley or Austin, Texas,
Absolutely.
or Miami to play in these spaces. You don't have to. You can keep it right here.
And that's something that you said that too, because actually, man, it's a big producer in the city by the name of Helliver, and he said that Detroit people are calling Detroit Dollywood. With the rise of the acting,
the Tubi film.
Yeah, the Tubi films, like we doing an excellent job in that field. And people are actually moving to Detroit to start, small level movie careers and hopes of expanding. So when you mention that, that's a very key thing.
But it's a creative culture. I mean, look where we're sitting right here. We're sitting in a music studio, right? This is about creativity. It's about creation. We're in an idea economy, right? And we have to be able to do those things that machines can't do, right? And that is just being strictly, completely creative.
Yes, sir.
Right? And that's why I love just this discussion right here. And to me, this is about trying to rewire people's mindset about owning their own power. You don't have to go to another city, another place to create and grow your life, your business, your family. You can do it right here. But how do you do it? How do we create the most power? Collectively.
Yeah.
I want to elevate your platform. And then in so doing, you help me elevate mine. If I get elected to U.S. Senate, all of a sudden I become one of 100 people that controls where $7 trillion goes. Think about that.
Wow.
100 people in this country have a seat at the table to decide where $7 trillion of the people's money goes. That means I can bring some of it back here for investment, for opportunity, and all of that. Education, all of the things we know is important.
Yes, sir.
If the community helps me get there, I can do it.
Absolutely.
If the community doesn't help me get there, I can't. And then we do too much stuff in silos. You know what I'm saying? Too many of us are doing great things, but we don't understand the power of the collective action. And if we actually locked arms and just started, there's so many things we could do where the power of the community elevates everybody. But we see other cultures doing it.
Yeah.
Right? People would say, how come this culture are able to buy these gas stations? Boom. Well, collectively, boom. You need one. We're going to pool the money so you can get yours.
Absolutely.
Now, then once you're on, you got to pool the money so this person get theirs. We don't do enough of that.
Yeah.
And we certainly don't do it in voting because we've checked out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I kind of wanted to ask you, did anybody take up that offer? Because I remember you said something about the ice cream shop. And you said, I think it was back in, what was going on? I think it was the Earn Your Leisure. Yeah.
So I own the building on Mac. It's a very small building, but it has a massive cow's head on it.
Yeah.
Like the cow's head is almost as big as the building, right? And it was in 8 Mile. They shot up the cow or they did something. I don't know if it was a paint gun or what they did, but and it used to be, ice cream shop, but it's been derelict and empty for decades. And I would love for a young entrepreneur to come in there and open up a shop. A couple people reached out, but they were from they weren't from here. You know, they saw the Earn Your Leisure show. And they're like, yo, I want to do ice cream. You know, blah. And I'm like, nah, what I really want is somebody who's from here, from the community to do it. Absolutely. And we figure out how to do it together. And, you know, I think that will happen. I haven't been on it because I've been so 100% focused with the U.S. Senate campaign. So it's not something that's really been on my radar that much. I think we're going to paint the building with kind of like a campaign, a mural or something like that. I think we're going to do that, yes, you know, so that'll be fun. But the, you know, small businesses are the engine of every neighborhood's economy. That's how we start recirculating dollars in the community. And if you think about Detroit, 82% black city, only 10% of the businesses downtown are owned by us. And it's happened on our watch.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable.
True.
You know, one of my business, my coffee shop is one of those businesses. We need more. You know, I just went to a restaurant on the east side today for lunch to support a business called Capers. It was an old steakhouse on the way east side. Brother has purchased that business. We need to support Capers, right? We need to support his business. You know, these are the things that we need to do because that's how we start recirculating dollars and create wealth and opportunity in our own communities. We don't have to look for other people to come in and help and save us. We can save our own communities and undergird our own communities economically if we open up our own business.
Indeed. Education rehabilitation.
Yes.
If you can, just talk a little bit about what's your intentions, what's your plans, what do you have in mind from an educational standpoint?
Right. So I'm the product of the public schools, right? And I went to public school when public schools were actually properly funded. We underfund public schools in the state of Michigan by $4 billion every year. People act like taking an old building, throwing up a double pane glass and painting it is an upgrade. No, that's putting lipstick on a pig.
Absolutely.
You know, the fact that we steal from our kids, which literally when you underfund education, that's stealing from the future. It's immoral to me. We have to pay teachers significantly more. We have to build new, imagine this, not just repurpose old dark brick buildings that weren't built with the knowledge of what we have today. Is that the best learning environments, the best teaching environments require sunlight, glass, indoor, outdoor spaces, all the things that we know affect mood, affect learning ability, affect even the teacher, the way the teacher teaches. Okay, you can recruit better talent if you have the place. There's a reason why Apple's home headquarters is a circular, massive circular all-glass building. Amazon, they have this indoor geodesic thing that it feels like it's inside and outside, you know, and they have these learning pods and all of these different things. We know the science already tells us how do kids learn best. It's certainly not the way we're teaching them.
Yeah.
You know, and throwing 30 kids in a room with one teacher and saying, be quiet. And the security guard in front is actually making more than the teacher.
It's insane.
It is wrong. And then I talked to administrators that were helping me with my education policy. And I said, well, how come 90% of the school kids here are 3 to 4 grades below in reading and writing? In other words, how can we keep passing them along? And the teacher said, the administrator said, Hill, they threaten us with taking more funding away if we don't pass along a certain percentage. And so clearly the incentive is completely upside down. If you have more need, you should get more resources, not get threatened with resources taken away.
Yeah.
So you're just passing along kids who can't read? I can't believe that more people aren't upset like me, right, about all of this. You know, when I get off I-75 to come home, I got to go through the north end. I get to the corner of Oakland and Owen. And to the left is a boarded up building. Across the street, vacant lot. To my right, it says Eli's Produce and Irene's Market in faded letters, and there's a tree growing up through that building. Brand new building across the street, though, with brand new floodlights and the whole nine. Of course, the liquor store. Well, one thing you can buy are Funyuns, Faygo, Verner, or Hennessy through 3 inches of plexiglass. And we're acting like that's okay. It's not okay. That used to be a vibrant neighborhood. There was a record store in the corner. There was a place called Phelps Lounge right there. There was a chicken spot. And then you had fresh produce at Eli's Produce.
Yeah, man.
You can't get a piece of fresh anything in that neighborhood.
Man, I think about that, and I apologize to cut you off,
please.
but I think about that. Like, I'm one of those type of people, man, where I kind of go back in my mind to those Motown days. And when I ride down Dexter and I ride down Woodward and those, Grand River, places like that, and I see all of these big buildings, like back to back to back, but they vacant, empty. And it just take me to a place where I think about, like, dang, man, back in the day, I could just see the vibrancy of the city. And the fact that we don't have, those businesses there and it just makes it feel dry, man. So from a small business standpoint, and I know that you mentioned it before, but what do you see like in terms of loans? Like,
that's right.
Us being able to receive loans to.
So watch what we have in government right now. We have complete collusion between politicians and big corporate interests. So these backdoor deals get done. So let's just I gave the example of Oakland and Owen. Mm-hmm. So, there's a need for fresh produce. I don't even call it a food desert. That's what some people say. I call it food apartheid. Deserts are naturally occurring. Apartheid is systemic and purposeful. So, but let's say, you're like, Hill, I want to reopen Eli's Produce. We'd be doing well, man. There's no place to buy fresh produce. Boom. You go to a bank. Number one, they'd make you rehab the entire building. Number two, you'd have to put down collateral. Number three, you'd maybe get a 10 to 15% hard money loan. There's no way you could sell enough apples, tomatoes to ever stay in business. However, you're a big developer. You do a couple checks to the politicians when they're during election time. You say, I want to take over these 3 blocks that include Eli's Produce. You're going to get a tax incentive that you can sell on the market up to 80 cents on the dollar. And you're going to get a 0 to next to nothing interest loan.
Wow.
And you're going to be able to develop brand new buildings up and down and own in this community. So I have this thing that I say I want to push for a law that I call it the No Better Deal Act. And I don't want to stamp on development. If someone wants to come and invest in a community, okay, but here's the caveat. If you live in that zip code, you have to be offered the exact same deal.
Wow.
No better deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So all of a sudden, if you want to do just that one building, you need to get a tax incentive. You need to get a 0 interest loan. And all of a sudden, you can open up your business too. And it might benefit by that new construction across the street. All of a sudden, you're building wealth alongside developers that have come in. This is what we have to do. And this is similar to what used to happen. When Coleman Young was mayor, he used to demand that Black construction companies got part of the government contracts for building, had to have a certain percentage of hiring in the union, making sure there was representation, these types of things that Maynard Jackson did in Atlanta, Harold Washington in Chicago. That's why representation matters. That's why who is in the seat, who's at the table matters. That's why voting matters, right? And that's why I keep saying about the primary. Why is that so important? Is that if I can't win the primary, I can't be on the ballot in November, so I can't get the seat at the table. And so if people don't even know what a primary is to vote in it, there's no way I can win to be able to fight for those, to fight to pass the legislation I just talked about. Uh-huh. That's why if I could just have a magic wand and remind people of their power, just be like, you have power.
I'm sorry.
Most people feel like they don't have power because they see the people who are getting represented are the people writing checks. And they're like, I don't have the money to write checks to politicians, so therefore, why should, but if we vote en masse, the money doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Corporations aren't people. People are people. And money's not votes. Votes come from people, but we gotta remember that. But they gotta have something to vote for, right? And they gotta understand why they're doing it.
Yes, sir. Making communities safer. If I'm not mistaken, I saw you with New Era Detroit.
Yeah.
Man, shout out to them brothers over there, man. Zeke, man, good brother, solid brother.
Absolutely.
if you can, in terms of making communities safer, what's your thoughts on that?
So we got to deal with the root causes of crime. The communities, and, let's break a couple things down. Number one, communities where, they tend to be the safest have what? The least amount of arrests. Okay. Communities that tend to be the safest have the most amount of economic prosperity and opportunity. Okay. So they also have the most amount of ownership. If you're an owner, you care more for your community. And I always talk about this. My football coach used to say, keep your head on a swivel, right? When you're an owner and you're invested, you keep your head like, there's trash on the ground. You actually gonna pick it up yourself.
Yep.
I was just in my neighborhood picking up trash around, not just where I live, because I care about the neighborhood because I'm an owner there, but I'm just there temporarily. And this is why we have to deal with the housing crisis and affordability of housing. And the fact that we have so many people that can't afford housing that they have to move and move and move. And then so if you know you're there transiently, do you really care?
Absolutely.
And you're like, whatever. And you also don't develop relationships with your neighbors where you're looking out for each other. I certainly hope that if my son is doing something wrong or gets lost somewhere, that they're going to be like, hey, that's Hill's son, boom, 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 right? But if they don't even know who he is or where, we got to develop relationships, and relationships matter. And so safer communities, we've got to deal with the root causes of it. And we also have to understand what's causing harm. The number one killer of children in this country is gun violence.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of people have it in their minds, I need guns to stay safe, or I need this type of weapon or that type of weapon. Here's the deal. You look across the world where they have common sense gun laws and gun buyback programs from the government, where you're getting as many guns off the street as possible through gun buyback. No fault, no questions asked, gun buybacks. You have significantly less gun deaths.
Yeah.
Yet we're letting the NRA and the gun lobby, which spends billions of dollars, dictate policy because they threaten politicians and they use the power of their pen and stroking checks to dictate something that is completely solvable. In countries across the world, they've solved this problem. But we're not solving it because we're letting the gun lobby dictate policy.
Yes, sir.
And misinformation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Healthcare.
Yes.
I heard you speak on that.
Huge issue.
Yeah.
It's probably my number one issue.
Yeah.
We need universal health care that includes mental health, dental health, and vision. And it should be absolute. If you get sick, you deserve to see a doctor. Currently, the number one cause of personal bankruptcies is healthcare. Currently, somebody gets sick, they're using the emergency room, the most inefficient way to deal with a health problem, because many people don't have coverage and they don't have any options. We have to deal with the healthcare crisis because right now we do not have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system. Right now, the incentives are so off. You have a profit motive in healthcare, or so-called healthcare. I call it sick care. You have a profit motive in sick care, where the more treatments you do and the more I keep you on those meds, the more money I make. The more money I make if you stay on the meds. Rather than the reverse, where it should be incentivized. The fewer treatments you have, the more people you keep off meds, the more money you get. Right? All of a sudden, these so-called healthcare for-profit systems would be truly healthcare, because they'd be like, we don't want you coming in. We're going to send you some vitamins. We're going to teach you how to eat right. We're actually going to open up healthy food places in your community instead of just fried chicken shops and liquor stores. Because you know what? If you keep doing the fried chicken and liquor, we're losing money because we actually get paid if you stay out of the hospital.
Yes, sir.
So they be sending you free vitamin D3, free vitamin C, teaching you how to create kale spinach smoothies.
Yeah.
rather than what it is now. In fact, I talked about this. We have people on SNAP, government assistance, right? There's no reason if we actually changed our healthcare system and created the proper incentives that we couldn't have healthy stores, grocery stores I'm talking about, with fresh produce, where you just walk in and you just take it and walk away. Why? Because again, we think about things through a sick care mindset rather than, because the amount of money spent on healthcare is astronomical, but it's really sick care. You flip it and all of a sudden you spend that money, but on different things.
Yeah.
Like keeping people healthy. And so you got to remember, the way things are right now systemically, they don't have to be that way. They are that way because we, the people, are allowing the same people to stay in office. And that's why I tell people, I say, listen, if you like what you've been getting from the federal government, then don't vote for me, because I'm running to change it. I'm not running to be a go along, get along status quo person. That's not me. I'm running to represent you and your best interest, which is you staying healthy, you actually getting a great education and learning something, you being in a safe community, you having full autonomy over your body and freedom, you being able to hopefully earn a living wage and have the ability to not go into massive amounts of debt to live a healthy, creative life. That's what I'm fighting for. I'm not fighting to take your money and send it overseas for violence. But if that's how you want your money spent, then elect the people you've been electing. But if you rather your money, your tax dollars spent here on education, safe communities, healthcare, then violence in some place you'll never go. That's why we gotta rework people's mindset around this, because it's all doable. But it's like folks have been trained almost to lay down. There's a study. I can't remember the name of the professor. I keep wanting to say Pavlov's dog, but it's not Pavlov's dog. I think it was like Siegelman's dog or something. I got to look it up. Somebody can YouTube it. But what they did was there was a dog and they shocked the dog on an electric pad and it jumped. Then they kept the setting exactly the same. Shocked it again, jumped again, but not as high. Shocked it again, kept shocking it. Eventually, the dog with the exact same level of shock stopped jumping. You traumatize people over and over and over again. You undereducate them. You punch them in the face. You hurt them economically. You hurt them with violence. All that trauma, they stop jumping. They just say, you know what? It doesn't matter.
Man.
We sold them hope and change, nothing changed. Then we sold them Make America Great Again. America got worse. They're like, what difference does it make?
True.
Rather than saying, actually, I'm going to lean in harder. I'm going to find other people to run for office that have nothing to do with these political parties. And nothing, they may be running as, like I'm running as a Democrat because I'm choosing a party. But I'm running to hold the Democratic Party accountable. You know what I'm saying? I'm not go along, get along with the party. That's why they're fighting against me. That's why I need the people. So to that point, we can do this, but we have to grab people and take them along with us collectively.
Absolutely. Just a few more questions. Okay. In terms of local influencers, if you could put a call out to those people right now, if there are some artists or actors or just anybody in general, put the call out right now for them.
So listen, if I could get Skilla Baby, Sada Baby, Peasy, Icewear Vezo, what's the one dude? He's almost like space something. I forget his name. The comedians. I mean, even somebody like Eminem.
Yeah.
Royce the 5'9", Kash Doll. Dej but beyond music even, producers who are producing the Tubi movies. Our brother producer Reed and all the other ones. People who are, and not just entertainment. So think about all these organizations. You mentioned New Era Detroit, Force Detroit, Mother Injustice, Moses, Black Liberation. And remember, it's a statewide race, not just Detroit. So what are those same organizations in Grand Rapids?
Yeah.
I don't know. What are those same organizations in Flint, in Saginaw, Muskegon, Benton Harbor, Battle Creek, Kalamazoo, up in the UP in Marquette, Sault Ste. Marie, Mackinac? So if I could reach all these organizations, nonprofits that know I'll be fighting to bring money and resources out of that $7 trillion a year back to us, we become unstoppable.
That's right.
But the question is, how do we knit them together? How do we reach them? How do we find them? And then say, hey, let's start doing it en masse. And let's play chess, not checkers. So, okay, this Senate seat's going to be the first time we try to prove this collective action. But next, everyone's going to put in $2 and we're going to open a community center or an ice cream shop or whatever that is. And then the next thing, we're going to run a bunch of people for local offices everywhere. And so this mindset of the power of the collective, even just think about what just happened with the uncommitted vote. You had a group of people that they call themselves Listen to Michigan out of Dearborn, the Arab and Muslim community, frustrated because 71% of Michigan Democrats support ceasefire. I was proud that I called for ceasefire in November.
Yeah.
My opponent still hasn't called for ceasefire. Probably won't. Because why? Checks. Now, they were upset. So they said, listen, we don't like either choice that's going to be on that primary ballot right now because we don't believe that, the 45th president, I try not to say his name much, he was Mr. Muslim ban. So clearly he ain't good.
Yeah.
And then current president hasn't called for ceasefire. So they're upset. So it's like, you know what? We're going to put together a movement of uncommitted. They thought they were going to get 10 or 15,000 votes. They got 100,000.
Wow.
And they did that in a span of like 3 weeks. So these things aren't unprecedented. My primary is August 6th. It's 117, 116 days away. You can create a movement in that time. But I can't create it on my own. I need help, and we need to reach people in all these different pockets in different ways. So musically, yeah, creating a song with somebody would be great. Having, Sheefy McFly did a poster for me. So maybe getting that poster out or putting up a mural of that poster.
Mm-hmm.
Getting on the college campuses, whether it's Oakland University, University of Michigan, Grand Valley State, Wayne State, Wayne Community College, all these different places. Because everybody, if you're a high school senior right now, you can vote in August. You don't even have to be 18 to vote. This is another thing they don't know. Let's talk about some things people don't know. You just have to be 18 by November 5th to vote. Right? So you could be 17 and a half and vote in August in my primary. So most every high school senior needs to register to vote because when they got their driver's license, they weren't old enough yet. So they weren't automatically registered. But we have same day registration in this state. You just register and vote the same day. So there's that. And then let's think about the returning citizens. If you've been on probation, parole, or if you're currently on probation, parole, you can vote. A lot of them don't think that. They don't know that. If you're in jail awaiting trial, you can vote from jail.
Wow.
Absentee. Right? The only group that can't vote is if you have been convicted and you're literally serving your time.
Right.
The day you walk out, you can vote. The day you walk out, even if you're on probation or parole. And so we have to blow through the misconceptions virtually everybody in the state that's 17 and a half as of this summer and up can vote. Right. And that's what we need to make folks understand and give them a way and a pathway to do it. Raising money is critical too, right? Because I can't open up the offices and do all the things and the outreach and sending out the mail and all this without. So small dollar donations, hillharper.com, $2, $4, $6, $10, $20. It makes a difference. I had a guy who liked what I said. He handed me $100 bill. I was like, sure, this isn't really the way you do donations. You know, you about to get me in trouble.
Right.
But that's beautiful, man. I mean, that's the beautiful thing. You know, I handed it back to him. I said, listen, please go onto the website.
Yeah, go on the website, brother.
And put it the right way. But point being, all of it makes a difference because you can't outreach to people without the resources.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, well, man, great insight for me. I think I needed to hear this just as well as a lot of other people needed to hear it.
Now I want to hear from you. What are you passionate about? What do you want to see? If you could wave a magic wand and say, I want my senator to fight for fill in the blank. What do you want to see happen? Is it affordable housing? Is it student loan debt relief? Those are two things that are big to me.
Yes, sir.
Is it another big one is how high the auto insurance rates are. They don't realize a U.S. senator can impact that. Why? By stopping auto insurance discrimination and price gouging, right? So there's people I met that have higher auto insurance monthlies than their car note. What kind of sense does that make? But in Michigan, we pay almost the highest auto insurance in the country. Michigan and California have the highest in the country because of price gouging and collusion, right? The government said you have to have it, and then they're allowing the insurance companies to increase and inflate the price and collude. And there's discrimination based off zip code, based off gender, based off credit scoring. The only thing your price should be judged off of is what? Your driving record. Yeah, you get a lot of tickets and you got a lot of answers.
Right.
You should pay more.
Yeah.
That's understandable. But other than that, how you judging me based off my credit score, where I live, my gender? No.
That's irrelevant.
Irrelevant.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm a say, in all honesty and being as transparent as possible, man, everything that you stated were my concerns and my thoughts for what I would want our representative to be. I see your vision and I support your vision. I think a lot of people will be informed by this, and I think it was so imperative for this sit down to take place because the youth don't know. Like a lot of the things that you named, coming home from prison, you can vote. Being 17 and a half, you can vote. I think those things needed to be highlighted, needed to be understood. So from my perspective, man, I will be voting for Hill Harper. And on behalf of the Forum magazine, man, if you don't mind, I would love for you to throw on the bus, man.
Oh, yes. Let's do this.
Throw on the bus one time, brother.
Right here.
Yes, sir. Let the people know what you feel about the city of Detroit, your plans for the city of Detroit, and one wrap up right here, right now.
City of Detroit has been ignored and treated like a stepchild by the federal government. There are so many cities across this country that have gotten billions with a B in federal resources and funding. And we have been left out and left behind. Yet the Democratic Party comes to our city all the time. Every 4 years says, save the country. Michigan's a red state until black people vote. Please help us. Make sure you vote. We need you. And then what happens? We don't get a return on our investment. This is an unprecedented opportunity, an open U.S. Senate seat in Michigan. The first chance to place a black U.S. senator in this seat, Democrat, in this seat, in a time where for the first time in 57 years, we don't have any black Democratic representation, and the city of Detroit barely has real representation in terms of the folks who look like the people walking around in the streets. whether it's from the mayor's office to the state senators, through the representatives, etc. Come on, y'all. And so I'm so proud to have been endorsed by leaders in this area. Warren Evans, Alicia Bell, Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence, Representative Tyrone Carter, Representative Jimmy Wilson, on down the line and more. But endorsements don't do it. The number one endorsement has to be the people. And then the people have to create the movement. If we voted at rates that were just about 60%, and that's like 6 out of 10, y'all, we would control every election in the state of Michigan. But Detroit doesn't even have a senator. Barely has a congressional representative. It really doesn't. Think about it. We need to take our power back. And the Senate seat is the best way because it is the most powerful seat. It's a longer term than the president, and it decides where the money goes. It's arguably more powerful than the president. Think about that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And we could deliver it. This city literally could deliver the seat. That's power. Do we have the will and the ability to exercise it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, y'all heard it here, man. Hill Harper. If you can, let them know when is the vote again.
Sure. So the primary election day is August 6th. It's a Tuesday. August 6th this summer, 2024. Now, there's 40 days early absentee, and anybody can order an absentee ballot. And so what I want to say is tell your friends, your family, go to secretaryofstate.gov and order your absentee ballot, because that's the best way, because that makes sure you do it. You'll get it in the mail to your current address. You fill it out and you drop it off. Done. Right? Then you're not worrying. You could get a blowout in the tire on election day. The weather could be bad. You could get invited to out of town. Don't wait till election day. Order your absentee ballot. Then there's going to be 9 days of early in-person voting where you're going to be able to go to the Secretary of State's office in different polling locations and actually vote in person 9 days before that Tuesday. So I'm hoping I'm going to get as many people organized to vote well before August 6th,
sir.
The Tuesday. And then, of course, there's election day, which is the primary.
Yes, sir.
Polls close around 8 p.m. And by that time, those 40 days early absentee voting, the 9 days early in-person voting, and election day, if we're the winner by 8 p.m. on that Tuesday, we're going to have a huge, huge party in Detroit, and we will have made history.
That's right. That's right. Get out and vote.
It'll be a Forum magazine party.
Yes, sir. Y'all make sure y'all get out and vote, man. Hill Harper, man. We appreciate you. Thank you for the opportunity. Until next time, Pulse of the Culture, Forum magazine. Let's get it.